You have two fractions, 1/4 and 5/6, and you want to rewrite them so they have the same denominator and have whole number numerators. What numbers could you use for the denominator? So here's our fractions, 1/4 and 5/6, and we want to rewrite these fractions to have new denominators. So we currently have a 4 and a 6 as our denominator. And can we just pick any new thing, like maybe 5? Could we say, let's change them both to have 5 as the denominator? The answer is no. We have to pick a multiple of 4 and 6. A multiple, some number that we can multiply 4 and get this number as an answer. So for example, for 4, some multiples of 4 would be 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12, and so on. Those are multiples of 4. And let's just pause here and look at why we have to pick a multiple of 4 and 6. Why we can't just pick any number, but we have to pick a multiple of our denominators. So the fraction we were just talking about was 1/4. We could look at either one, but let's look at 1/4. Here we have a picture showing fourths. And to show 1/4, we shade one of these 4 equal size pieces. Well, maybe I want to change this and I want to say I want 2. I want 2 as my numerator. So to have a numerator of 2, I'm going to need to split this 4th up here into 2 pieces. Now I have 2 shaded pieces. So can I say this is 2, 1, 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces? It's not 2/5 because these are not equal size pieces. So if I split this 4th right here in half, I need to split all of them in half. And what I'm doing is doubling the amount of pieces. So now this is 2 pieces, this is 2, and this is 2 because we need equal size pieces. So now this is 1, 2 pieces out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal size pieces, so 2/8. And you can see 8 is a multiple of 4 because we multiplied by 2, and that's what we did. We multiplied each of our pieces by 2. And we also multiplied our numerator by 2 because that was also doubled. The amount of shaded pieces doubled when the entire amount of pieces doubled. And we don't have to do this just with 2. We could do any multiple of 4. For example, we can do one more here. If we, again, let's shade 1/4. One of the 4 pieces. And maybe this time we want to split it into 3 equal size pieces. So to have a new numerator of 3, and these should be equal sized, here's a numerator of 3. But we can't do our denominator yet because we don't have equal size pieces. So to get equal size pieces, we'll need to split each of these 4ths into 3. So we are tripling the amount of pieces. So now we have 3 shaded pieces out of a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 out of 12. And I could have figured that out without even counting because I knew that we tripled. This time we multiplied our original denominator times 3. We tripled. And we also multiplied our numerator times 3. So these are the multiples, 8, 12, and so on. And so those are the denominators we can pick. Something that we can multiply our denominator by, so we can multiply the entire amount of pieces. And again, so this is super clear, 1/4 and 2/8 and 3/12, they all represent the same amount. Whether we had 1/4 the original, here's 2/8, 3/12, they're all equivalent. They all represent the same amount. They're just different ways of writing the same number. Back to our original question, what denominators can we use for 4ths and for 6ths? Well, we know we need to use multiples, so let's look at the multiples. For 4, we've already gone through some of these. The first multiple of 4 is 4 times 1, which is 4. Second multiple of 4 is 8. 4 times 2 is 8, so we could split our fourths in half and get eighths. Or we could say 4 times 3 is 12, which we showed again where we split our fourths, each fourth into 3 equal pieces. Or we could do 4 times 4, which is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 6 is 24, and so on. The reason I'm stopping at 24 is I've looked at my answer choices, and I can see the largest possible answer is 24, so I don't need to write any larger multiples. There are many, many, many more multiples of 4, but we don't need to list them all because the largest number we're going to have to consider is 24. Let's do the same for 6. We could leave our 6 alone, 6 times 1, and keep 6 pieces. Or we could double our 6. 6 times 2 would be 12. If we doubled the pieces, we would have 12 pieces. We could say 6 times 3, which is 18. Or 6 times 4, we could divide each of our 6s into 4 pieces. And we'd have 6 times 4, which is 24, or 24ths. And so on. Again, I'll stop at 24 since it's the largest number we need to consider. So down to our answer choices. What numbers could we use for the denominator? Could we use 8? Let's look at these lists. 8 is a multiple of 4, so we could definitely split fourths into 8s, but 8 is not a multiple of 6, so we cannot split 6 into 8s. So 8 will not work as a denominator for both fractions. How about 12? 12 we can see as a multiple of 4, and we showed that. We drew that already. And 12 is a multiple of 6. We could split our 6 into 2 equal pieces each, and we would have 12ths. So 12 does work. 12 is a denominator, a common denominator for fourths and sixths. 18 is here on the 6th. We could split 6 into 18 because 18 is a multiple of 6, but it is not a multiple of 4. So we can rule out 18. 18 is not a common denominator. And 24, you may remember, was the last number we wrote on both of them. So yes, 24 could be a denominator for fourths and sixths. So we could use either 12 or 24, and there's a lot more numbers we could use too as common denominators, but from these choices, we could use 12 or 24 as a common denominator for fourths and sixths. And just a note, lots of times people like to use the smallest one, the least common denominator, which in this case is 12. And it makes a lot of sense because it's easier to do computation with smaller numbers, but you don't absolutely have to use the smallest one. You could use 12ths or 24ths or lots of other options. But again, 12ths is probably the simplest one to work with just because generally it's easier to work with smaller numbers. But for this question, the common denominators we can use from these choices for fourths and sixths are 12 and 24.